Before a story reaches your mind, it lives in your body. Before you can name grief, anger, betrayal, or relief, something inside you has already reacted. A tightening in the chest, a surge of heat, a drop in the stomach. The body registers change long before the mind organizes it into meaning. This image shows a strand of DNA struck by a sudden surge of energy. It looks dramatic, almost violent, but it points to something real about how life works. DNA is not simply a chemical blueprint. It is an electrical structure. Every cell in the body maintains voltage across its membrane. Nerves fire through electrical impulses. The heart itself runs on rhythm and charge. Life is built from currents moving through structure. When energy encounters a pattern, the pattern has to respond. Sometimes it absorbs the charge. Sometimes it resists it. Sometimes the impact is strong enough to force the pattern to reorganize. The deeper question this image raises is simple. How much of what we carry inside our bodies is truly permanent, and how much is simply waiting for the right level of energy to shift it? Because if patterns can be written into the body through experience, they can also be disturbed, loosened, and eventually rewritten. This first image marks the beginning of that idea. The moment when a stable pattern meets a force capable of changing it. Not every signal arrives as disruption. Some arrive as awareness. After the initial contact, the moment when a pattern is disturbed, there is another phase that begins quietly inside the body. The nervous system starts to listen. The human body is not just biological machinery. It is also a sensory instrument. Every heartbeat, every breath, every electrical impulse moving through the nerves is part of a larger conversation between the body and the environment it lives within. This image shows a figure in stillness, surrounded by rising bands of light that resemble frequency bars. It suggests something many people forget. Calm is not the absence of signal. It is the ability to receive signal without becoming overwhelmed by it. When the nervous system is regulated, the body can perceive more without collapsing into reaction. What might once have felt like chaos begins to register as information. Stillness, in that sense, is not escape. It is calibration. The body begins to sort what belongs to the moment from what belongs to the past. The signal becomes clearer. The noise begins to fall away. And the human system, once reactive, starts to become something else entirely, an interpreter. The signal does not originate in the human body. It moves through the larger system first. The planet itself functions as an electrical environment. Its atmosphere, magnetic field, and surface constantly generate and carry subtle electromagnetic activity. Most of the time, these patterns remain stable enough that life adapts to them without noticing. But stability is not permanence. There are moments when the field surrounding the Earth shifts, when energy moves differently through the atmosphere, and the planetary system briefly amplifies the signals passing through it. When that happens, the change does not stay confined to the sky. Everything living within that field experiences it. This image shows the Earth surrounded by a wave of light, as if the planet itself is releasing or receiving energy. Whether understood symbolically or scientifically, it points to an important idea. Human experience does not unfold in isolation. We live inside a dynamic environment that constantly interacts with our biology. The body responds. The nervous system interprets. And what begins as a planetary fluctuation eventually becomes a human experience. What the planet transmits, the body must carry. The human system is not a single receiver, but a vast internal network. Beneath the visible structure of muscles and bones lies an intricate web of connective tissue, nerves, fluids, and electrical signaling pathways. Information does not travel through the body randomly. It moves along organized channels. The image shows a luminous lattice, like energy flowing through a delicate architecture. It resembles both a neural network and a microscopic map of living tissue. That resemblance is not accidental. Every sensation we experience, emotion, memory, intuition, stress, relief, passes through the body's internal wiring before it reaches conscious awareness. Signals move, patterns respond. Old information stored in tissue begins to shift when new energy moves through the system. Sometimes this process feels like clarity. Sometimes it feels like discomfort. But both are signs that something inside the network is reorganizing. The body is not simply reacting to the world around it. It is constantly processing, translating, and redistributing information through the living architecture that holds us together. And when enough energy moves through that structure, what once felt fixed can begin to change. Not every pattern in the body belongs to the present moment. Some have been carried for years. The image of the hourglass suggests something more than the simple passing of time. Inside the glass, particles fall while waves of energy move through them, as if time itself were interacting with a signal. Human experience accumulates in layers. Memories, emotions, stress responses, habits of perception. These do not disappear once an event passes. They settle into the body like sediment, forming patterns that quietly shape how we respond to the world. Most of the time, these patterns remain undisturbed. But when new energy moves through the system, the past can become active again. Not because the past is repeating itself, but because the body is finally encountering conditions strong enough to loosen what has been stored. This is why change can feel strangely disorienting. When the internal landscape shifts, the boundary between past and present becomes less rigid. Old impressions rise, move, and sometimes dissolve. Time, in that sense, is not only something that passes, it is something the body continually processes. And when the signal becomes strong enough, even long-held patterns can begin to move. Eventually, every signal arrives at the heart. Not the symbolic heart alone, but the physical center that maintains rhythm throughout the body. The heart generates the strongest electrical field produced by the human system, extending far beyond the boundaries of the chest. This image shows the heart surrounded by concentric waves of light, as if the signal that once moved through the body's networks has reached its central point of integration. The heart does not simply pump blood, it synchronizes. Every system in the body, brain, nerves, breath, and tissue, gradually aligns with its rhythm. When signals move through the body long enough, they eventually arrive here, where the scattered pieces begin to organize into coherence. What started as activation becomes understanding. What felt like pressure begins to settle into rhythm. The body, which first registered disturbance, now recognizes pattern. In that moment, something subtle but important occurs. The signal is no longer something happening to the body. It becomes something the body can hold, interpret, and transmit outward again. The cycle closes not with disruption, but with integration. And from that integration, a new pattern begins to form. The signal continues. If this transmission resonated, don't forget to like and subscribe here and continue the journey with the next video. You can also follow the work on Substack at tendingtheinbetween.substack.com.